Welcome in, everyone. Good morning, afternoon-ish. Hey, welcome into twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name's Grim Dame, joined by the man that we call Bib. I'll read Bib.
Good after morning. How are we all doing?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Your feet aching after a weekend Yu-Gi-Oh in?
Yeah, my mind's aching.
My mind's telling me no.
Been trying to learn as much as I could about Yu-Gi-Oh, having never really played it before. I would say really. I mean, I haven't in any way, shape, or form. I've played a lot of card games, like a lot of TGCs, but Yu-Gi-Oh has never really been one of them. Never watched the anime or anything like that. So getting to know the product, and getting to know how hardcore they are. It was a surreal experience. I've never been to a TGC event before across anything. Magic the Gathering, Pokemon.
A what event? Sorry,
a TGC.
TCG, not trading game card.
Yes, TCG. I've never been to one before, so that was quite a surreal experience. Being around the floor. How many people do you reckon were there?
Well, the most attended event in Yu-Gi-Oh history, I believe, is about 4K, maybe just less. And I think that is the biggest that there has ever been in Europe. There was over 3,000 people. I know that.
Yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, it was. So, like, the thing is, if you're watching this, for me, 3,000 people never sounds like a lot of people, unless it's like something like a loss of life, because you always hear like stadiums with 70, 80,000 people and this, that, and the other, and all these events with tens of thousands of people watching it and so on. So 3,000 people at an event always seems like it's quite small to me. In reality, 3,000 people in one room is fucking madness, and that's what it was at this. So we obviously, for those of you who don't know, we are obviously Ice Cream. We do work for a company called Jelly, which is a video games marketing agency, and we do a lot of stuff in the industry. A lot of it is behind the scenes, so you don't really see what we do. You will see what we do, but you don't know that we're doing it, basically, because we like white label stuff for other people. Anyway, we do social content for a number of clients and brands and so on. So we work as part of that on Yu-Gi-Oh, or we do now. And this is the first time we've ever attended a Yu-Gi-Oh YCS. So that's Yu-Gi-Oh Championship Series, which is a massive event for the Yu-Gi-Oh community. Last one happened in Lyon in February. Lyon. This one happened in London over the weekend, just gone, at the Excel. So we went down there, and there was 3,000 people all milling around, buying stuff, chatting, having a couple of duels and stuff like that. But then you see someone go, okay, that's it. Lads, ladies, and Bib, everyone gets to sit down, next game. It doesn't really talk like that, obviously. That's just me putting my spin on it. But so some judge will mention over the loudspeaker, next game begins. And 3,000 people just sit down. And that's it. There is just people like, it's almost like a chess like game. Like, people are just obviously playing the game. Some people slowly get back up until all games are finished, and then you get like 15 minutes of people just mingling and chatting and moving around the room again, and then you'll hear stampedes of people like literally legging it. Oh shit, we're getting close to the next game, as they're all charging back to the space. 3,000 people sit down again, and these rows upon rows upon rows of desks of people just suddenly go quiet again as everyone gets back into their game. Nuka! Welcome in, Nuka. Thank you very much for the raid. How you doing? I was talking about you this morning in 12 stream. So I was lingering in 12 stream as I was doing some bits this morning, and I heard you was in the game. And then I think you were in the next game as well, or something like that. But 12 mentioned... someone in 12 stream mentioned something about Nuka. Is he a big streamer? Is he massive? And I was like, yeah, something's massive. But then we stopped. You know, it's a family show. It's not really a family show, but it's just nice. Anyway, we were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh. So me and Bib worked at YCS this weekend with a number of the team. And yeah, we ate today because we did about a bajillion miles backwards and forwards, up, down, round through the Excel Centre, and ate some stuff, which was nice. PG, exactly. Keeping it clean. Max, welcome in, dude. Drunken Prom Date's here. Hey, how you doing, Prom? Welcome into the stream. Let me jump back up and let's see who else is here. Oof, I missed this one. While we're on the countdown, 19 months got dropped down.
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty, yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh Goffs all over.
Yu-Gi-Oh Goffs all over. I know Goffs all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. 19 months, though. Yeah, that's the thing, though. Being sat in the back of the car with the social team. So Bibby's obviously part of the social team with me, but the social team is more than just me and Bib. And we were all sat in this minibus on the way down to Yu-Gi-Oh! And you see it on stream, I just randomly spit shit out. No, there's a man in a banana boat. Which is fine, because we're in a safe space. We all know what's happening. We all expect it. But when you just sat in a bus and a taxi driver cuts up a fucking Arctic lorry just alongside you, and everyone's like, shit, and I'm sat there going, no, there's a man in a banana boat. Everyone's like, what?
That's your final words, Graham. Chosen very wisely.
Nice. So just never mind, just go with it. It's only weird if you don't embrace it. Carry on. Precision, welcome in. No, P3. No, P3.
No.
Oh, P3. I'll read. Wagwan. Phone is in as well. No, the ICU. Sorry, oh, hello, man. Sorry, that's Nietzsche. Just in case you don't understand, if you're new here and you're thinking, what the fuck is going on? It's just Nietzsche. That's just how he speaks. We're just welcoming him in as well. 3K people is about as many fans in the Empty Had. Wow, easy now. That's pushing the numbers up a bit. God damn.
2008 wanted the joke back.
2008, that's still way too much as well. Whoa! Take off the 2000, you're getting closer. Whoa! I approve. You're welcome. Anyways, got a raid and run, guys. Got to get ready for work. No worries, dude. Enjoy work. Thank you very much for radio. Appreciate that, dude. If you don't know who Nuka is, then find out. I'm sure you all do anyway. Similar circles, isn't it? He's like Ratata, but slightly different. Same. Check him out, PUBG Fun Times. Anyway, we are here to talk about video games news. If you don't know who we are, it's not just about Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. We bring you PUBG from me, some Elden Sword, Skyward Ring, or whatever other games Bibby plays. They all sound the same.
All of those things.
Okay, Bethesda, From Software, or any other games companies out there. We're joking. Settle down. Goddamn. No, yeah, we bring you games, but we talk about video games too, as this is the UK's #1 video game podcast. We will bring you the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories. Goth games, nice, that too. We'll bring you the biggest, the best, and the breaking stories of the world of video games, plus our thoughts and impressions, and we want to hear your thoughts and impressions. Then your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. We've got about 40 minutes-ish left of this show to do that. Maybe close to half an hour, actually, because we do have a call or two. So over the next 30 minutes or so, we will bring you those stories, and we want you guys to get involved. And please do feel free to do so, because we are live on Twitch, but the live stream is turned into a podcast, a video on YouTube, an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Google Play. Yeah, nice. Got there. Yeah. So please do feel free to get involved on behalf of everyone that does watch and listen to this podcast on demand. Over 200,000 people have done that, so please get involved on behalf of those. Before we jump into anything, I want to remind you guys that the first Monday of every month, like today, is Loot Drop Day. I completely forgot that it was today. God damn.
So did I. It's definitely the first Monday.
Ooh. So if you haven't subbed to the channel, you could do what Nietzsche's done and just sub right now, because in 1 hour and 42 minutes, it will be 3 p.m. At 3 p.m. the first Monday of every month, we export a list of subs, and everyone that is a sub gets thrown into a prize draw, and one person will bag themselves a prize. This month's prize, is WWE 2K?
It is.
Nice. So we are giving away a copy of WWE 2K23 thanks to our beautiful friends over at 2K. Feel free.
It's only on PlayStation 5 though.
Yes. Confirmation it is only PS5. So if you want to get involved, all you have to do is be a sub, be a prime sub, a tier 1, 2, 3, a gifted sub, whatever. Congrats, Beans! Let's go. So yeah, feel free to get involved before 3. You've got an hour and a half-ish plus on that. Shout out to 2K and all of the other people that support our channel, like exclamation mark Astro, exclamation mark GT Omega, and all the homies. Shout out to Insert Coin as well, by the way. I'm wearing my Last of Us Insert Coin t-shirt, which Bibby thought was just a general. I thought it was an Asda t-shirt, he said the other week. Which is
I thought it was a Primark one, yeah.
Absolutely not the spawn that the GT Mega were hoping for right there. But we'll take it. Not GT Mega, Insert Coin. That's even not the spawn as well. Do you know what? On this awkward bombshell, let's jump into the split screen. Skadoosh. Okay, we have a few stories for you today, starting with the fact that PlayStation Showcase will happen before Summer Game Fest. So we know E3 isn't happening. That's what we spoke about at the end of the week last week. E3 2023 is dead. not PlayStation Showcase, Summer Game Fest were quite quick to jump in and be like, Game Summer isn't over as we're there. Yeah, after PlayStation. So PlayStation Showcase is going to happen, and before Summer Game Fest. That is the lead story. We'll jump through that. Then we'll jump over to the other side of the console fights. The war. There isn't really. I mean, I suppose there is, but whatever. And that is from John Midler at VGC, who talks about a cheaper 1 terabyte Xbox Series X expansion card is on the way. Bad goddamn time. Then we'll talk about, pricing getting good, but for different ways and means and stuff. As Capcom has hit an all-time high on their share price. Basically, Baby streamed Resident Evil 4 on ICU, and Capcom share price goes through the roof. You draw the lines and the comparisons and stuff if you want, but just seems like cause and effect to me. Anyway, and then we'll finish up talking about Arc 2, or not, as it seems it's been delayed again to 2024. We'll jump through those. But for now, Mr. Bibb.
Yes.
Biggest event this summer is going to be PlayStation's Showcase, or is it going to be Summer Game Fest, or a bit of both? What are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a mixture of both. I feel like they might end up saving some announcements for either or it all comes down to who's going to be paying more.
Interesting. Well, we'll jump into the first bit of news then. This is written by Shubhankar Parijat at Gaming Bolt, and it says PS Showcase will happen before Summer Game Fest this year. This is a rumour, obviously take with a pinch, but Sony's rumoured PlayStation Showcase event, which is allegedly planned for sometime in June, will apparently happen before June the 8th, which is great because Graham goes on holiday on June the 13th, and this means he gets to see it, which is good. Nice. So E3 2023 may have been officially cancelled, but it looks like June is still going to be the month where publishers and developers across the industry make major announcements in dedicated events and presentations. Plenty of this will be packed into Summer Game Fest, of course, but Sony is allegedly set to do its own thing once again. Journalist Geoff Grubb has previously claimed that a PlayStation Showcase is planned for June, and in a recent tweet, he provided some brief details on exactly what to expect it. Okay, that's great. I'm assuming that should be from, but nice. According to Grubb, the PlayStation Showcase will happen in the first week of June before the aforementioned Summer Game Fest, which is set for June the 8th. What exactly can we expect from the event, though? While precise details remain scant, what a word, scant. I've not heard that in a billion years. Anyway.
I know.
Grubb has previously claimed that it will be, quote, a massive showcase that will set up the second phase of PS5. Well, it's like the MCU now. We've got into phases of PS5. And it will include a number of major first-party reveals and update. Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is due out this fall and is allegedly targeting a September release, so it's likely to be one of the games that Sony will show off. Meanwhile, Naughty Dog has also said that it plans to provide more details in the coming months about its standalone Last of Us multiplayer game. That's the end of the article. I did not realise that was where it was going to stop. Okay, nice.
This didn't finish on a question.
But the tweet that they're referencing is from Geoff Grubb, which is embedded in the article. It says, E3 is dead and I killed it. And now I'm going to honour it by holding it up Weekend at Bernie's style. Bernie E3's style, nice. Alongside Geoff Grubb's hashtag Summer Game Mess. Thank you to all the Geoff Grubb Summer Game Mess partners for participating, whether you want to or not. Let's fucking go. So yeah, before Summer Game Fest, PlayStation Showcase. June 8th, Summer Game Fest. June 9th and 10th, key 3 days of play. June 11th, Xbox and Bethesda Showcase and Starfield Direct. And then June 12th, Ubisoft Forward is Geoff Grubb's timeline for the not E3 calendar. Thoughts, Bib?
Yeah, I mean that's a great period to be around video games. Am I right?
Do you know what? It's fucking exceptional because E3 was due to start on the 13th of June. I think it was 13th to the 16th of June. I go on holiday on the 13th of June. So E3 was stupid. Get in the bin, E3. But now, let's say PlayStation's on June the 7th, for argument's sake, because it's before the June the 8th. We'll get the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, and then holiday. So it's basically Game of Christmas and then holiday. Let's fucking go!
Yeah. Let's go! Yeah, like we just said then, it's a great time to get involved with video games. We may have lost one massive conference, but ultimately we've managed to get nearly 5 out of it. So let's go! All the video games. But yeah, I don't really know how to spin it any other way, really. It's going to be a nice little period of time. Again, we could mourn the loss of E3 overall because it is another thing that's now been taken out of our calendars. I'm not going to say COVID was the killer of that one because there was a lot of other moving parts that unfortunately didn't go their way as well. Some of them, that was absolutely their fault. And REBEKAH, was it, that came in to try and obviously steady the ship. But ultimately, if the likes of Ubisoft, PlayStation, Xbox, whoever conference over the road, all don't want to be involved or want to pay for the shop floor stuff, mentioned this last week, week before last, they'll spend their money elsewhere and market in their own games and use their own message. So I'll be interested to see how many of these shows are going to have some form of overlap with the games that they're going to be showing, because it's we've only got one. We've got this calendar year leading up to Christmas, and E3 is usually the first time that a game will tend to get announced. And E3, yeah, did I say E3 then? E3 is usually the place where the games tend to get announced, and then Gamescom is usually like the place where you get to play it first. So I'm wondering whether or not that you're going to use this E3 time, that's not E3 anymore, to use the same kind of messaging. We'll announce it around this period, and then you'll be able to play it at Gamescom. Hopefully that's a very well-established format, and I'm hoping that kind of stays the same because reviews all tend to drop at the same time. Then you can get the same feel. You can have your preferred method of journalism, whether or not that'll be from Eurogamer or over at VGC or from IGN or from GameSpot. Like, people have their favorite news sources. Ice Cream Uploads, The Scoop.
Get them right. Yeah.
So you go for your trusted viewers, and that's usually where the meat of the year, in terms of clicks and people reading articles and listening to podcasts and stuff. So I hope the format still stays the same because I'm an old man. I don't like change. And I feel like that's the best way for me to be able to digest stuff and us be able to plan our content out for the year and stuff. Absolutely self-fulfilling.
I am absolutely 100% just interacting with our Instagram post, by the way, which you guys can do on Instagram.com/Ice Cream Uploads. Just adding it to my story. Feel free to do the same. Let people know that we are live. Skadoosh.
JMK says, I bored you to sleep, apparently.
I was listening. What do you guys think? Do you feel like PlayStation Showcase is a good thing? Do you guys like it being separate? The fact that REBEKAH and co were hoping that some of these guys would have backed E3, or actually, it's not really on REBEKAH, it's on the ESA. So ESA got REBEKAH in to do all the organising stuff that they do not very well, but REBEKAH do very well. And for all intents and purposes, were trying to do very well. REBEKAH were given such a difficult hand in the fact that it's like, hey, do you want to use all your skills? And you're like, yeah. And it's like the biggest event in the world for your industry. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we'll sign you up, and in a couple of months you might be able to do those skill stuffs, but you also possibly might not for no fault of your own. Yeah, what? And that's kind of what it was for REBEKAH. They didn't really get to do anything there. They were probably involved in the conversations with getting people on board, but the whole REBEKAH thing either happened too late or it was agreed soon enough, but then it didn't actually get put into place with the fact that they probably couldn't speak on behalf of the ESA soon enough. And that's vitally important for an event like E3, because imagine you've got a map, and it's just a bunch of squares along and down, like a spreadsheet that's empty, and you've got to fill all of those squares by putting PlayStation in all of those squares on the show floor, Xbox in those ones, and Ubisoft and E3, and you've got to fill it all up. Jobs are good. And REBEKAH can't be starting those or having those conversations with any of those brands until they've got the full say, so everything's fully agreed, everyone knows how they work, and because, that stuff's usually starting 12 months in advance. And we only found that sort of stuff out, 9 months ago-ish? So you're only finding out that they've been announced at that point in time, so they're not able to have conversations until that, and then there's probably ink waiting to be drying after that sort of stuff. So by the time it comes down to it, there was all sorts of conversations. Lots of journalists have been talking about how there was people ready to have conversations about, we want to get Ubisoft at E3. We know that because Ubisoft said they were going to do that until about a week ago. But where EA going to go? Where Nintendo going to go? Where all the other brands that have kind of lapsed and moved away from E3 in the last few years going to go? For all intents and purposes, a bunch of them were interested and were open to the idea, but weren't fully committed. And I think that comes down to the ESA again in that sort of sense. The fact that they didn't get people to agree. But PlayStation clearly have something to show. They have now jumped before everyone else to get their content out front and center on the 7th or whenever it's going to be. So let's see what date the 7th is. April, May, June, Wednesday. It could even be... They tend to go for a Tuesday if they're doing conferences stuff. Like, if it's midweek, it's either a Tuesday or a Thursday. They don't often hit on a Wednesday. Sometimes they do. They have had State of Plays on a Wednesday. But with that, I'd be kind of thinking maybe Tuesday, because Tuesday you get the evening sort of broadcast, then you get all of the news permeating through the Wednesday, and then all the stuff starts with Summer Game Fest on the Thursday. You get a full day and a half of coverage before all the news, all the other game stuff starts. So maybe for me, probably the 6th-ish, but that's good then. PlayStation Showcase hitting then, and then everything else kicks off afterwards. It just, however you see it, if you see it as a dagger in the back of E3, which is understandable. If you see it as, do you know what, E3 just wasn't what it should have been, that's also understandable. Whatever way you do see it, though, that if you are just a neutral gamer and you don't align yourself to one bit of plastic over another bit of plastic, then you have possibly 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th of June of video game news just coming thick and fast. And that is only through the stuff that Geoff Grubb has confirmed. PS Showcase, Summer Game Fest, key 3 days of play, Xbox and Bethesda Showcase and a Starfield Direct and a Ubisoft Forward. We haven't got PC games, which are the PC Gamer Show always happens. We haven't got Devolver Digital. There's nothing for Epic in there. They may want to do something for themselves, or they may just put stuff in the PC Game Showcase. And any other showcases, like Limited Run Games, always have an E3 show as well. There's tons more stuff that will now probably start getting plumbed in. Some of them may jump into Summer Game Fest, but a lot of them will probably look at doing their own things. So that's it. If you're looking for some time to figure out what games are coming, what games you could be playing, it's Tuesday the 6th to Tuesday the 13th of June. That 7-day period is when you're going to find out what's big, what's happening. And then, yeah, after that, that's what, like Bibby says, we then get to maybe play some of that at Gamescom or play some of that in Steam's Summer Game Fest, where they have shitloads of demos and stuff that you can play and download and do on the same day. So, yeah, E3 is dead, but long live E3.
Yeah. Just rebadged.
Exactly. It's yeah, E4. There we go. Not the TV station. Nice. With his head down, it looks like Graham's fallen asleep. I was interacting with the social stuff. You guys can do it too. If you haven't, do feel free to retweet our tweet. Even if you don't, do you know what? I don't want to retweet. Retweet looks like an endorsement. These guys are a bit dodge. Fine, just go and like it. Because fun fact, Twitter algorithm now, a like gives you more exposure than a retweet does, which is absolutely bizarre. So yeah, just go and like our posts. We would very, very much appreciate that. Nice. Iceman, welcome in, dude. I suppose it's okay for brand followers not having to sit around through stuff you're not interested in. You just watch the Sony, Microsoft, and Ubisoft and the rest of the individual streams. It's just the indie devs that lose out. But that's the point. That's the rich getting rich and the poor staying poor, which that's not what the industry was about. That's not what E3 was about, because PlayStation had their games. PlayStation did their games, sold their games, great. And so did Xbox, and so did Nintendo, and every other brand that went to E3 when it was the Electronic Entertainment Expo, which sounds like a nerd conference. And then you got loads of dudes in light beige suits going to conferences in the LA Plaza Hotel fucking banqueting suite or whatever, all in rows of chairs laid out on a carpeted floor with some dude stood in front of a lectern and a fucking PowerPoint screen delivering a presentation. That was old school E3. That was business to business. And if that's all it's going to remain, then okay, fine. But E3 grew beyond that to the Electronics Entertainment Expo going, okay, we will make a stage for everyone. Yeah, you will still have your Sony conference, and yes, you will still have your Xbox conference, but you will all, rather than just talking to the people that you can book in, you will talk into the conferences that everyone else can book in too. So you're sharing your audiences. When we all come together, we can do greater, more eventful things. And that leads to Devolver Digital getting airtime, Limited Run Games getting airtime, PC Games Showcase getting airtime in front of console, the mass console army getting exposed to the PC master race. Who knew? But it changes and it exposes and it gives people new ways of playing things, new things to play, genres that you show like survival games and how deep things like over the years, Daisies and Scums and whatever survival games you want to play out there. Most people on consoles will have never touched a game like that because they just don't have the same impact, the same scale. There is no prox chat and stuff like that. So all those experiences, console players, genuinely, there will be tons of people that don't know those games exist. And that's what something like E3 brings across. Whereas if I just look at a PlayStation showcase, I still don't know that exists. Or an Xbox showcase, I still don't know that exists. So there is a lot missing by losing out on something that makes people converge. Without that lack of convergence, it's segregation, and segregation is just not as magical. Watching from a hotel room in Blackpool, well, that is magical. So, yeah, enjoy. Nice. Okay, we'll put a pin in that one. So the PS Showcase is happening, apparently. It's only a rumour, though, but the rumour is that it's going to happen before June the 8th. And if it does, that puts it ahead of all of the PlayStation, all of the video games industry showcases coming this summer. Nice. It does mean, though, that we were almost bookending it with first parties. Obviously, Ubisoft Forward does follow on the 12th, but starting up with PlayStation and then finishing up with Xbox, Bethesda, and Starfield, that's a whole lot of content in 5 days period. Yep. So,
absolutely.
Like I say, E3 is dead. Long live E3. That window has been put in place by E3. And what E3 needs to do next year, just before we move ahead, is figure out how they can stick their name on that or take credit for that, because they can. That is happening because of E3, because of the ESA, because of the Electronics Entertainment Expo's history. That week is happening because of E3. They just need to figure out how that they can make that happen and support that, rather than just trying to say, we did this, we'd like to get paid for this, because that's not what it's about. It's about pulling people together and celebrating, rather than pulling people together and ripping them off. Nice. Speaking of ripping people off, let's talk about Microsoft. Nice. Nice. This conversation did start in the Discord over the weekend. And arguably, Microsoft are very good at ripping people off, just like any other first-party provider can be. PlayStation, with your DualSense Edge controller that you could have undercut all these mega expensive things. No, we'll charge £1 bajillion for that too. Anything that is, what's the word that means it's made just specifically for that hardware, but it begins with a P. Oh, it's probably going to be in here.
It's gone already.
Nah, I was hoping Bibby would understand words, but he's probably not the right person. What's the word? Like, if Xbox proprietary. There we go. I knew David didn't it.
I'm definitely not stealing that from David. I just come up with that myself.
Let's go, David. And Iceman as well. Proprietary, there we go. So whenever you get any proprietary hardware, you have the danger of monopolistic tendencies. And PlayStation and Xbox and every other brand out there are guilty of doing this, or not, at times, depending on where they sit and how they're treating their consumers. And Xbox have been great with their proprietary hardware, apart from one piece, and that is expandable storage. Percy Pig, there we go. Nietzsche is there. He got it 100%. It was Percy Pig's. So yeah, one piece of hardware, the expandable storage on an Xbox Series console, is it. Until now-ish, kind of. Let's have a look. This is written by Jordan Midler at VGC, and a cheaper 1TB Xbox Series expansion card is on the way. The new expansion card okay, nice. The new expansion card will be significantly cheaper than Seagate's offerings. Cheers for that, Jordan. Nice. So a new 1TB Western Digital expansion card for Xbox Series consoles has appeared online, and it's much cheaper than its competitors. The, quote, WD Black C50 expansion card for Xbox, end quote, appeared over the weekend on Best Buy's website. However, it's currently unavailable for purchase. The item would expand the storage of an Xbox Series console by 1TB. When the Xbox Series consoles first launched in 2020, they brought with them a proprietary memory card system in order to expand the storage of those machines. At launch, a 1TB, 2TB, and 512 gig card manufactured by Seagate was offered. This new card will seemingly set players back around 145 quid. This is significantly cheaper than Microsoft's 1TB offering, which retails for 220 quid. Although although it is rarely in stock. While both series consoles offer forms of memory expansion or the ability to store games on third-party hard drives, what makes the expansion card system unique is that it's fully compatible with Xbox's Quick Resume feature, meaning that games can be stored in a playable state directly on the expansion cards rather than typical USB hard drives, which instead store the games in cold storage. This means that while you can store games on typical USB drives, you have to copy them into the system's internal storage or one of these expansion cards in order to play Xbox Series games. Older titles can run natively from the hard drive. For comparison, PS5 storage expansion uses generic hard drives that have been produced by multiple manufacturers. While this means that generally the prices for these expansions are lower than on Xbox, inconsistent performance between hard drives means that some consumer research is required before purchases, unlike Microsoft's plug-and-play solution. So a lot of positives and negatives both way. PlayStation has a bunch of different offerings that are usually cheaper, but you have to know what you're looking out for. That has been improved with the likes of, you've got a bunch of them that do have the little blue PlayStation approved sticker on it now, whereas Xbox only has a very few that you know that will work indefinitely, absolutely, perfectionately. But they will cost you an arm and a leg, whereas now they'll cost you an arm and up to your knee. So it is cheaper, but is it cheap enough? So we've gone down from $220 to $180. It's come down by $40. Is that enough? Thoughts, Bib?
I genuinely thought at this point in time, this far into the lifespan of the next gen consoles, we're absolutely in current gen now, that we would have more third party support on stuff like this. Like WD Black is absolutely killing it on Samsung with what you can use on your PlayStation. It's really easy to change the SD or actually have an additional SSD within your PlayStation 5. You just take the side panel off and bosh, it's right there. Screwdriver, 30 seconds max to be able to put a new SSD within your PlayStation 5. And it's even easier on the Xbox. However, the price is, I'm not going to say ridiculous, because do you remember when SSDs first came out for PCs? There were a dime a dozen in terms of how many there was out there, but they was all super expensive. But now there's started to be a lot more prevalent in your PC. The chance that if you're buying a PC nowadays, especially a ready-made one, there's already one installed on your PC. You don't have to go out and find another one. There might be another slot that you can add one yourself as later down the line, but you can pick them up you can pick third-party ones up for next to nothing, just as good performance for a fraction of the cost. I thought we would be at that point now, if not at some point in this year, where third parties are coming out and they are creating external SSDs for this console. This leads me to believe that they are being blocked from doing so. I mean, that's just nothing that's been written anywhere else, but it just feels like Seagate have the monopoly on this. Because why isn't anybody else doing this? It can't be that difficult for the likes of Samsung, for the likes of WD Black to come in and create SSD cards for these consoles. There must be a reason why official companies aren't being able to do it. It doesn't mean that somebody isn't. There will be some very small companies that will be creating little shells with SSD materials inside it for you to be able to use, but there won't be Microsoft approved. I'm just surprised that we're not come this far yet.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I feel like Xbox has gone to Seagate and said, we want something that works with our velocity architecture. So I believe I'm not mixing brands up. I could be. I believe the Xbox, what makes their SSD stuff work super fast, but by having the ability to use quick resume, that is all through an internal system that they call velocity architecture. I think that's Xbox, not PlayStation. Could be wrong though. But if it isn't, the example works anyway. So they have their velocity architecture, which loads off the SSD super fast. Doesn't do the same with HDDs though. But in order to build an SSD that worked with that, I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft went to Seagate and said, can you help us develop this software? We will give you the exclusive. Or Seagate went, yeah, we will do that as long as you give us the exclusive on the hardware for 12 to 24 months, whatever it is. And then at that point, you can then give the specs to other manufacturers then, so that they can start building stuff. Which is why we're only now seeing Western Digital or WD Black jumping in with their own versions of sticks. Wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. But yeah, it's damaging to people. Like seeing handheld consoles being held back by what memory sticks? Memory Stick Pro Duo 2, what a fucking nice one, PlayStation. So it's not just Microsoft. Anyone can do this. PlayStation have done this previously.
Twice.
Yeah, twice. Seeing this sort of stuff hold systems back is a bit annoying, but now we're at the point where they're not out yet, and it's only a rumour posted off of one store listing, but that's usually enough to go off. You can get an idea of what's coming, especially if it's an established store. But if Western Digital or WD Black are making sticks for this, as well as Seagate, I wouldn't be surprised if we start getting Samsung ones and any other brands that start dropping in with stuff like that, which then does mean that the bottom end of the market can drop. And the top end of the market will then follow suit and drop, particularly on things like Prime Days and so on. For anyone that has an SSD in their PS5, me, times 2, you're looking at an SSD like 200 quid a year. Fucking hell. And then Prime Day comes along and it's like 95 quid. You're like, ooh, okay, 95 quid's a lot of money, but it's a lot better. So even if it's not like that all the time, Prime Day will start dropping those out. But when you've just got Seagate doing that, it doesn't happen because they control the market. They have a monopoly on it, but that monopoly is now hopefully being whittled away. So there is a cheaper 1 terabyte expansion card right now-ish, maybe soon, possibly. But cheaper is not cheap. But cheaper does open the doors to cheap. So I would be surprised if this comes out in the next month or so. I would be surprised if we don't see a whole raft of other expansion cards by Christmas, and therefore Black Friday could be a good time period to expand the storage on your Xbox.
Yeah, do you remember when the PlayStation 2 came out and they obviously they didn't have third-party support when the PlayStation 32 first came out because obviously no one knew how to use it. And the memory cards were just so expensive. Like, I must have gone like 2 months without being able to save anything just because I was a young boy and I had to wait to be able to earn enough pocket money to be like my mum. I love my mum. I love my nan and my granddad. They give me the absolute world, but I had to earn it. Very early life lesson. I wouldn't just say I need this. They'll go out and buy it. I had to earn that shit. And eventually I earned enough money to be able to go and get a memory card. But that's what that feels like now, apart from we do obviously have one inside the console. But for you to unlock the full potential and have a hard drive full of more than like 6 games. I mean, in the Xbox now, you're looking at 3 big games if you're lucky. Like, what's Warzone nowadays? Like 120 gig?
Yeah.
And I think you get 420 gig to be able to use because of all the system software and stuff like that. So, yeah, to be able to try and have a full hard drive full of stuff, you have to expand that shit to be able to get the best out of it.
David says it is called Velocity, and it's nothing new. It's just a modification to an old little little used PC standard called Quick Boot, where you could use a USB stick or SD card to cache it. Do you know what? Not interested. We don't need to know that stuff. The fact that it's old tech is also irrelevant because it's old tech for PCs, but it's new tech on consoles. Either way, it doesn't work with a USB bit. So the fact that it is Microsoft is the more important bit there. So the Velocity architecture is something, whether it's old tech or not, means that is a limiter for what can and can't be done there. And whether that's just the shape of the hardware or down to actually software on the hardware itself is kind of irrelevant. For whatever the reasoning being, though, only Seagate had access to that or approval to do that. And if anyone started doing that without Microsoft's say-so, then you in trouble. But now anyone can do it, hopefully, potentially, and then it all gets good. Okay, we are going to stop-ish just there. We are going to quickly look at the other 2 titles, 2 news articles that we have to share, because we're going to be jumping off in a couple of minutes' time now. We do have back-to-back calls this evening, so it will be a pretty rushed end to the show. But after talking about Xbox expanding potentially their storage for better prices, we'll talk about Capcom having better prices. This one needs very little, obviously, input on this, but it's the fact that Capcom's share price has hit an all-time high. The company stock is rising after the release of the Resident Evil 4 remake. So as noted by Games Industry to Dr. Sekantoto, the company's stock hit $36.42 on the Tokyo Stock Exchange earlier today, and at the time of writing, sits slightly lower at, well, they actually quoted it in yen, 4865 yen, and it now sits at 4840. This marks the highest price in the history of the company, and the latest sign of continued growth in a company which this time 10 years ago had a share price of 390 yen. So 10 years ago, shares worth 390 yen, or $2.92. Now it's $36. So from 390 yen to 4,865 yen. That's a substantial growth. And obviously, you can't just pin that on Resident Evil 4. That is a period where we've had Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 3 remake, Resident Evil 2 remake, the massive game that is Resistance or whatever it's called, the one that Bibby absolutely loves, Resident Evil Resistance, Resident Evil...
We're not going to talk about it, Graham.
Nice. Yeah, okay, we'll leave that one alone. But no, despite the stuff in between, that Capcom has had a great 10 years, and I absolutely love to see this, because 10 years ago, Capcom, you could have seen it going either way. You could have seen Capcom looking to sell up and getting swallowed up by maybe a first party like PlayStation or by another Japanese developer that said, yep, okay, we'll take it. We'll take all your old IP and turn it into something new, because you don't really know what you're doing. They clearly do know what they're doing now. It's great to see. Not just for me, but clearly great for Bib. He sat there with a Resident Evil 2 display behind him, so he clearly had to see it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But we've also got Street Fighter coming as well, very, very, very soon, which is going to add a bit more to this. So, yeah, it's very exciting time to be a part of Capcom and what they're going to be offering. So, props to them. Like you said, 10 years ago, it was a completely different Capcom.
Ooh, Tito beat me to the ban. I right-clicked on the name and I was like, what the fuck is this? Rather than just clicking on... do you know what? We could have upgraded our stream by using an absolutely not suspicious link in the chat. God damn. Yeah. How many NFT live service and microtransactions offerings do they have? Probably lots.
Yeah, I imagine. Live services, absolutely. Microtransactions. Yep, I did see that you could buy a gun. I don't know what gun it was. I didn't click into it, but like on the dashboard, on the PlayStation dashboard, when you hover over Resident Evil 4, there's a gun there for £1.19. It's not going to be like infinite ammo or anything like that. I'm guessing it's just a gun skin. So yeah, the games are rife with them nowadays. It's well annoying.
Yeah. We'll put a pin in that though. If we do want to talk about that, we can jump back into that on the Discord if anyone does want to have a conversation. And then we'll just quickly show you this one as well. Arc 2 has been delayed again to 2024, but a next-gen version of the first game is out, in August. This is written by REBEKAH Valentine at IGN. Today, Studio Wildcard announced that Arc 2, the sequel to 2017's Ark Survival Evolved, is getting delayed a second time into 2024. But in the meantime, a next-gen version of the original game is coming out in August to keep us busy. So if you're interested in Ark, sorry, you've got to wait. But, as always, all things that are worth waiting for should be waited for until they're ready to be played after waiting for nice. Good things come to those who wait. Let's go, baby! Damn it. I thought they were going to be the paragon of gaming. I don't know that reference. Aren't deleted messages followed by piss off, Ghost? No, only if you type exclamation mark. Piss off, Ghost! Famous, there you go. Piss off, Ghost!
Piss off, Ghost.
Which it used to say, what do you mean buy followers with a famous ICU in response to, hey, would you like to buy some followers? Because that used to be the message. So yeah, there you go, exclamation mark famous. Anyway, okay, reminder of the articles. PS Showcase is happening. Rumour, in June before Summer Game Fest, so that could kick off a full week of gaming spectaculars. Xbox have a cheaper expansion card on the way, apparently, which could open the doors to even cheaper ones. Exciting times. Capcom are definitely having exciting times. Their share price is at an all-time high, and Arc 2, less exciting as that has been delayed, but hopefully it'll be worth the wait. It won't be out now until 2024. And on that bombshell, we're going to wrap things up. Thank you very much, everyone that did stick around for the stream. Thank you, Nuka, for the raid, Nietzsche for the gifted sub, and everyone that has been in the chat. We appreciate you for getting involved. And Luke for popping up on Slack. You'd love to see that. Just right at the end of the show. Nice one. Cheers, Luke. It's basically going, hurry up and finish this fucking scoop, man. We're going to get on calls. So yeah, we are going to disappear. We'll be back 10 a.m.-ish from the studio, myself and Bib, tomorrow. Do feel free to join us for that. But before that happens, is there aught you'd like to add, Mr. Bib?
Yes, very conscious of time, so you all should definitely know the drill by now. Find us on all of our social media accounts, Spoiler alert, it's ice cream uploads across all of them. All we need from you is a URL plus your thoughts and impressions. We can then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show. As Graham mentioned, we'll be live from the ICU studio. What time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
At 10 a.m. Ish. Join us at 10 a.m. ish for tomorrow's episode of The Scoop. And then Wednesday, as we'll have some chasing call rates with mates, myself, Lotus, the Code Red Boys, and then maybe even some Nietzsche, Beans, Neil, whoever afterwards. Nice. But also, if you haven't already, you've got an hour and 6 minutes to sub to ICU, and your name could be in the hat for this month's loot drop. Do check out the Discord a little bit later on, or on stream tomorrow where we'll do the reveal. But that's it from us. Stick around for the raid as well. Until next time.
Yes.
Stay frosty! Okay, I'll try again. Press the frosty.